And this really looks like an Arabia right off the bat. Of course, it's a dry version of it. And looking at the civilizations, we have Aztecs and Huns for DmX, and as for LeOs, we have Mayans together with Huns. Okay, so let's see. This is going to be quite interesting with both Huns, obviously, and then a plot twist with the Mesoamerican civs, each for each of the teams. So looking how Gray is right now scouting, he's trying to make sure that he knows where the potential boar is. At this point, he doesn't know, but he does know where the gold is, and it seems like to be a pretty sweet position for him. He's off the bat, going for the berries here, so he's not even waiting potentially for extra sheep and whatnot, even though he sees the one on the left. But let's have a look. How's it looking around him then? Stone, actually double stone pretty safe for him. That's kind of easily wallable potentially. Yeah, just needs to put like here and here a wall, and this is going to be as safe as it can be. And looking overall at the map, this is, oh well, this is a pretty sweet spot. That's a lot of sheep at a very short amount of, or rather small amount of space, and that will be quite a huge help. And maybe if he went with the Eagle Warrior there, he wouldn't have had to build a mill here. Oh well, but he didn't, so that's going to be a surprise just for him now. But otherwise, really, those mines are pretty much safe, and I don't expect him to be having any kind of trouble defending against that. Otherwise, the forward gold mine is also not half bad, together with the hunt here, and otherwise, yeah, those two boars are pretty nicely positioned, and right now he's discovering the first one of them, and he will be seeing the second one anytime soon as well. But you need to move a bit further. Which you will, and right now you see where the both of the boars are, so no problem for him, and we will be switching, for example, into his teammate Ayuzi, who is playing the Huns here. He has already done quite a lot of scouting, discovered one of the boars, and second boar is somewhere in the vicinity as well, yep, at the south here, with also extra hunt, which is not really all that far away, so potentially he can use his scout to lure this in so that he doesn't have to waste extra wood on building the mill here, but let's see if he will go for that or not. Siegfried right now is going for a boom. That's kind of interesting choice on Arabia. We usually see quite a lot of early aggression, but looking at the mines, they seem to be pretty much safe as well, because obviously that's right next to the wall, and yeah, you can see that it's going to be very easy to wall up and potentially run to. That's a very nice triple mine. And actually not really all that common, and really that's triple mine as safe as it can be, quite literally, so should be very easy for him to defend for the majority of the game, especially in the early one. Otherwise, we see the relics pretty much placed everywhere on the map, with more or less 3 relics being in the power of DmX, whereas just 2 in the power of their opponents, LeO. And we'll be switching into the LeO team right about now. For example, into Wikia, who will be the first we have a look at. He has done quite a decent amount of scouting so far, and it seems like that he's having a slightly unfortunate placement of the stone, as it's not really safe. And on top of that, it will be kind of easy to raid potentially with archers, obviously because of the hill here, and might be really not that easy to somehow secure this part of the map. And looking how he's Mayans, that could be a slight problem for him, as he will definitely need the stone for either the booming or the castles, obviously from the plumed archers. Otherwise, at the very back, this seems like yeah, reasonably defensible for him, looking at the berries here and the tree line, and also the golds are not all that bad, but looking at the map, it's kind of open overall and not going to be easy to wall up. As yep, this is quite a huge expanse and could be easily breached through some kind of attack of maybe even militias in the early game. So far though, he's having a pretty good line of sight on both of those boards, obviously, with the extra hunt as well. And switching into the next player, the last one, that's going to be LeO Hightower, who is seeing a very safe both gold and stone. That's not half bad at the very back. Some extra mines in the forefront, not really safe, but yeah, we'll see if he can somehow protect them. And hunt in here, next to the water patch. Well, it's not really far away, but since he's having his scout in his opponent's base, it basically means that if he wants to go for that, he will be forced. Oh well, he's actually lose the scout. Losing the scout here, or no, he's careful enough, but he at least knows where his opponent is right now, attempting to gather the gold. So yep, that's that. That's at least that, and he will probably find some extra mines in here if he goes a bit further north, which he isn't, so no good luck at that. At any rate, going back into his base, we can see that he actually butchered some of those pigs already. This all seems like sheep. But maybe this one under the town center is actually a boar. But otherwise, where are the boars here for him? Has he already used both of them? At this point it really seems so, because I don't really see the boars anywhere and there hasn't been any kind of stealing, so yep, that's pretty much it, and he will be advancing at pretty much the same time as would be expected from him and his allies. So right now we do see that DmX, Siegfried and Ayuzi are actually slightly ahead, like by a half villager. You can see right now at 23, whereas 22 for both Leos. And first to advance into the feudal age will be Hightower at just 22 villagers. So it seems like the DmX are really taking this seriously with the booming advance into the next age. And then potentially right off into the castle. Well, we'll see about that. First though, Ayuzi is sending already the militia into the Drush, and is Green going to be fast enough with his own militias? I'm thinking that he is aiming for the same thing, but it could be slightly problematic, and if he can use the scout actually to disrupt what is going on here with the building of the barracks, that could be all that much more powerful for him, and all that much more problematic for the Green player. But so far that's not happening. So barracks are here, and is he going to respond with militias? Well, he is not clicking in them, so I'm kind of thinking he will be switching into, what is he actually as a civilization, as a Han? Well, either some kind of archers or scout cavalry in the feudal age, so let's see what choice he will actually make. And he's basically just waiting for that right now, not gathering food. Well, that's not ideal. That's not ideal at all, but since he's not gathering any kind of gold, this is probably just going to be switched into scout cavalry pretty soon. So here we see a bit of a raiding with the militia drush, which is not really successful all that much, but this idle time is counting here, and that's exactly what the Drush is all about, disrupting the economy of an opponent. And well, you can see that he's actually going for an archery range, which is slightly weird, and probably means that he will be building skirmishes. Well, he's going for archers, but without any gold whatsoever. That's kind of weird altogether, but well, let's see how he will develop from this moment. So far he's still under attack and he needs to be paying all the attention that he can actually muster somewhere. And is Blue being rushed as well? Well, doesn't seem so. He's right now trying to lure the hunt in, which is a pretty good idea, obviously. And right now switching into gold as well. We would be expecting from a Mayan some kind of archery range and going for potentially archers and crossbowmen or whatnot. But he is the one who is rushing here. Okay, so we were talking about Siegfried potentially rushing, but no, he is the one being rushed. So that's one player per team rushing here. And is he successful? Well, he did force a few villagers of this food gathering, it seems. But that's going to be pretty much it. It will be just a few villagers inside the TC, and the guys will be dead, and not much going on extra behind that, or rather beyond that. Yep, still getting under attack from those militias together with the scout cavalry, but it doesn't seem like the disruption to the economy is somehow continuing. A few idlers here from Green, but he is very much secure next to the gold mine and will be pumping out enough archers to supply his army. Yeah, you can see that he had already made one skirmisher because he didn't have enough gold for the archer, but that should be changing pretty soon, right about now. So let's see about that. He should properly micro though. He does have the hill here. And he needs all the help that he can get because he's still not having enough numbers for the potential engagement. Here again, some extra idlers he should be sending to work, but he will be pretty soon, and let's see how the Drush is going to develop. Well, it seems like that the scout didn't really do all that much, and right now just one villager, oh well, being hammered by two militias. That's not ideal at all, and even though Red is trying to right now secure, or rather make sure that this militia man doesn't die, it's not really going to be worth it, because if he stayed there, he could have potentially killed both of those villagers. But still, he did kill one. That's definitely counting, and I'm kind of thinking that this is going to be it. So looking somewhere else on the map, we see that Blue is still continuing with the Drushing, but not really successfully, because obviously Grey has a very nicely walled, but we see that Grey is moving with his villagers somewhere, and Blue did not see that. And oh well, he already is here quite fully with a pretty nice trash. Okay, so that's a pretty nice job by him, and quite a lot of dead bodies here. That's probably some villagers, and very nice strategy with some extra pikemen, the spearmen, and he will be denying any kind of resources to his opponents that he can somehow find. So that's a pretty nice play by the Grey player. who is being rushed, but at the same time his rush is pretty much a lot stronger, but he needs to be moving on the gold mine. He is just denying his opponent nothing, I have to say. He's not denying absolutely anything by these towers, unfortunately for him, because obviously there's nothing. He's basically denying just like 2 farms that were here, and so far that's pretty much it. He needs to be moving somewhere else, and unfortunately for him, even though he does have the barracks here and is sending quite a lot of villagers in, he's going to be nastily surprised by the potential archers from the blue player. Iosi is advanced into the castle age. So yep, that's going to be a pretty strong advantage for him, because even though his militias weren't doing a whole lot of damage, they did disrupt his opponent for the long time, or rather for the long term, and right now he will be fighting quite advantaged, as he is the Huns in the castle age, so that's going to be quite a lot of knights. Or the other option, cavalry archers. Okay, so cavalry archers coming in, and they will be encountering a bit of archers from green, which shouldn't be much of a battle indeed. Whereas Vikia is advancing into Castle Age as well, so that should be 1 per player, or rather a 1 per team in the Castle Age. So far those villages from Grey are though going to die, because obviously, yeah, this tower is not going to fly, as Bull is having well enough army for that, so that unfortunately backfired for Siegfried. And yeah, he right now realizes that his trash actually did not do all that much, and even though it was a pretty decent attempt, he did not build the towers at the crucial resource, and that's at the gold, which is in here. So yeah, if he actually was able to capture the gold here with towers around between those gold mines, he could have basically killed Vikea right off the bat, because his next gold is at the very back, which would be very open for him, and otherwise he's at least denying the stone, which is also pretty powerful, and still could yield some decent results for the Aztec player. So right now he could be probably just waiting for the castle age and yeah, increase the number of eagle warriors on in his army, which is going to be exactly the unit that he will need. And you can see that Red is actually joining in the fight here and will be trying to help his great teammates. So is that going to be something that will work? Now they are thinking that if they can deny the Mayan player all the stone, that could be potentially a way to victory, but might be slightly harder, because all those archers will be pretty strong, and if green is able to join in anytime soon, he will be quite problematic for the DmX's player, other players. So green is right now attempting just a bit of raiding. He right now knows the lay of the land, and if he can get on top of the hill, he will be able to get rid of even those skirmishes, but still needs to be super careful, as obviously they are the direct counter to them. Still a bit of archers, really doing anything. Come on, don't be afraid to send them into an attack, but he's probably just thinking that it's a matter of time before the red player actually goes up to him, and he wants to be prepared when that is going to happen. He is himself high tower advancing into castle age, so that's going to be both LeOs in the castle, whereas Siegfried is not advancing anytime soon. It's just going to be a few minutes before he amasses enough units, or rather enough resources, and he's still waiting with those spearmen here. Well, he could potentially employ them somewhere, but he doesn't have really where, because obviously he's right now being pushed out of the position. And looking at the siege workshop in the blue's base, he's just waiting for the right moment and go for the stone mines that he needs for his economy, and also the Mayan castles. Looking how red is switching in this scenario into actually green's base, going right under the tower so that he actually cannot shoot at him is a pretty good idea. But yeah, green was kind of expecting what was going to happen, and this is the guard that he was leaving at home, and will be taking care of this kind of early raiding from the red cavalry archers. Green is still having a bit of an army here, trying to raid potentially, but looking how, yeah, red is basically playing the same as his green opponent, trying to make sure that he's protecting his own base. This is not going to do anything, and looking also Perit Archer armor for both of them, so it's going to be a pretty equal battle between the green player and the red player in just a few minutes, because of the castle age being reached. Bit of a raiding by blue right now on grey, and grey, unfortunately for him, doesn't really have anywhere to run. He will have to run through into the TC, which is going to be a pretty huge slaughter of those villages, and you can see already a lot of that, and this is just, oh well. Yeah, this hurts. This hurts him quite substantially, because Siegfried is right now dropping to like 30 villages, and still they are dying. They still dying, and he's denying all the stone here. And well, it's probably not going to be for long, because obviously the tower is being built. This one is a pretty good one, covering both the wood line and the stone. Not exactly sure about this one and this one. Probably hoping that he can actually gather the wood here. Then yeah, that's a pretty good idea. But he should be making sure that he can actually protect this gold, as he's the only one inside his own base. And right now oh well, he won't be able he won't be able to even finish the tower, which is, oh well, hugely unfortunate for him, because not only has he been dropped to like 25 villagers, yeah, as opposed to like 40 and 34 from his opponents, he's still out of any kind of resources like the gold and the stone, which is a pretty huge problem for him at this stage of the game. Red is probably the only one that can somehow turn the battle around in their favor right now, because he is doing a pretty good job with trading of the cavalry archers. And yep, finally we see some fruits of the labor of the siege workshop guys. And yep, here we see quite nice repairing of the mangonel that is in range of the tower, but still the tower will fall sooner rather than later. A bit of a defense power by the blue player, so he should be defending quite nicely against the potential problems here. But well, red is still attempting to do as much as he can right now with ballistics, and will be attempting to disrupt the economy of both players at the same time, trying to buy some extra valuable time for his teammate Siegfried. Pretty good shots at the tree line here, but he will probably not be finding this town center in time, but maybe he will be probably going right under the tower, go on the gold village, but he isn't. And he is actually finding the town center at the time, and he will be killing all of those villagers. But looking how it's pretty much close to completion, it might be finished even in spite of that. You can also see that green has switched as a Hans player also into cavalry archers, so that's going to be pretty much 1v1 between cavalry archers of both of those Hans. And well, red has killed quite a lot of villagers at this point, about 5, and that's again going to cost the LeOs quite a huge chunk of their economy. Red has to retreat because obviously he doesn't have the numbers, but he also has to be super careful about this huge army of crossbowmen that are entering his base from the very back. So yep, this is a pretty decent army, and he could be having a pretty easy time of literally going anywhere, especially on this second tree line or on this gold overall. Even though it's nicely covered by the second TC, he still could get in some pretty good shots, and he definitely needs to hurry, because red is right now building a bit of a wall in here and potentially some extra buildings and also mangonels, because he knows what's happening here with the green guy. So Siegfried is finally advancing into the castle age, even though he's still being pretty heavily disrupted in his economy by the blue player. But has he developed somewhere else? He does have potentially some gold mines and stone mines in here. This one is also pretty safe, but not exactly sure why he isn't moving there, but he seems to be pretty comfortable where he is, and blue is right now attempting to actually find some extra villies, but at the same time it means that he will lose those crossbowmen, because obviously the crossfire is going to be quite deadly indeed. Still one tower remaining, but that's going to be just a question of time for this mangonel to get rid of this, and those spearmen as well. Yeah, that was a pretty nice headshot. Yep, and it's going to be the last one. And goodbye. Okay, so tower goodbye as well, and it means that all the rest of the buildings that are remaining from the grey player will be just in line for that, those houses, and also the barracks here that are just waiting to be destroyed. But otherwise, do we see something interesting? We see that actually blue is switching from his grey opponent and going a bit to the north, so he will be probably joining with the green player and hoping that they can do something substantial together. But for that, they actually need some siege, and I don't see any kind of siege workshop from the green player, who should probably be the one to supply them, as he is closer to his opponent. So yep, we'll see if that is going to be the course of action here. Some nice attempt at raiding by those green archers that were still here, but Mangonel is getting yeah, pretty easy care of them. That was like 2 shots from him, killing absolutely everything, and pretty good job, and goodbye raiding from green, which will allow red to take all of his cavalry archers, which is a pretty good army at this point, and go full on attack. So yep, let's see if that's going to work out for him. If that's going to work out for him somehow, because he will be needing to defend against a pretty huge army of blue crossbowmen. Well, but blue doesn't seem actually decided what he wants to do at this point. He's just between gray and red, and he's not exactly sure where he wants to go. So yeah, that's that. And finally, yeah, he will be pushed off this crucial position he's at with those skirmishes, which will basically allow Siegfried to resume his normal game when he is in Castle Age finally and get into the gold gathering and also the stone gathering at the very bottom here. So yep, this is going to be him, and IUZ actually clicking into the next age, into the Imperial Age. So DmX are right now on the verge of actually turning the game around. So far, it was maybe equal on the top, but at the bottom it seemed like more in favor of Vikea and his booming. Yeah, right now he's just still trying to get rid of all those buildings, having how many TC boom? 2 TCs so far. For green we have 1, 2, also 2 TCs, or rather 3 right now, finishing the third TC, and also trying to wall in, because obviously he needs to prevent any potential raidings from the cavalry archers on him and his economy. Green is also moving with pretty good army back into red space, potentially trying to find some kind of opponents with a bit of Mycroft from blue. Oh, well, yeah, we have hoping for a bit more, because this Mangonel is pretty strong if he's able actually to get his shots sets free, and especially when the villager is right now attempting to repair what has been dealt to him. Yep, pretty nice headshot, and that's pretty much it for the blue archers or other crossbowmen here. But once they are actually replaced by all those green armies, that could be pretty dangerous for red, who is at 3 TC boom, if I saw this correctly. He is at 3 TCs, going for stables, and he will be probably switching into knights pretty soon as he's advancing into Imperial Age, and that's about the time when Huns usually go for Cavaliers and Paladins. So yep, he's right now with all his army in Blue's base, trying to find some villies to kill. He did succeed with some, and some units as well, but looking at the Mangonel, that's a bit of a problem, and he decides that he wants to take this a bit more slowly, especially with the extra defense from the crossbowmen of the blue player. But he might still get some extra shots on the villages, but oh, come on, don't run into a trap, please. And in true corner, trying to fight what is there, but he should be at least seeing that gold is in here, so potentially he wants to return. Yeah, he knows about the gold at this point, but that's basically just a trap. And unfortunately, blue didn't get the good shot, and I'm kinda thinking that those red cavaliers, or other cavalry archers, could be getting rid of the god Mangonel pretty soon. Yep, so goodbye, and right now he will be retreating with everything, I guess. Green doing a pretty good job with the Raiden, but also being pretty nicely defended by the red player, who is already having like 4 Mangonels here, which is a pretty decent amount of units, especially when he's right now going for Cavaliers, and that's going to be the army of choice for him, switching into the Knights, and also with the Mangonels as a siege weapon, probably. Still a bit of Raiden from green player, right now probably switching into his other opponent, that's Grey, and Grey is right now yet another again, under attack from the blue crossbowmen, but it's not really something strong, so not exactly sure why there are some troubles defending here. Siege Workshop being built together with Town Center's second one for the grey player. But he really needs to be super careful about all those crossbowmen, because they are still disrupting the economy of him. Because he's right now at 45 release, whereas the worst from LeO, or worst, yeah, Vikea is right now having 57, and IUZ is having 99, whereas Hightower 74. So at this point I would be favoring DmX, because even though Siegfried is not really fully into the game, he's still very much in it. And I have to say that the advantage of the Hun player right now having the Knights and rather Cavaliers with the pretty strong echo, 25 more villies, that's quarter more than his opponent. That's a pretty huge difference, and will be even known when he attacks his opponent. But right now green is trying to finish with his walling with stone walls, and I'm kinda thinking that we will be needing some extra siege to get rid of that. Quite a decent army from green, together right now with Siege Workshop, and will be probably switching into Mangonels himself. And also into the Imperial Age. Is he attempting to make a switch the same as his opponent? So far I don't see any extra stables. So he may be still sticking to this kind of army, those cavalry archers, but he will be probably forced to switch pretty soon, as when those paladins are coming in for the red player, which is still going to be quite some time, obviously, looking at his resources. That might be slightly problematic. And oh, he actually left a hole in the wall. And there was actually a hole, yeah, just behind the barracks, which unfortunately for Green, he did not notice, and he let some of these knights or other cavaliers right inside. Oh well, and that's a pretty huge slaughter of his cavalry archer army. And yep, as you can see that this is definitely something that Green did not want, and reinforcements from Red are trickling in and will be coming as a replacement for the dead knights here. And yeah, they will just finish the job and then ravage the economy of the green player. Right now he has also run around the gold, so he'll be having to switch onto the left side. But this is a pretty huge problem for him, because if some extra siege are coming through this hole for red right now, yeah, he's building siege workshop right outside of his green opponent. This is going to be a pretty huge problem, because I would be expecting some siege rams, or rather, yeah, siege rams. We are already in the Imperial Age with him. It could be quite problematic for Green to somehow defend, as Blue will be probably forced to help him. Yep, that's a bit of a pretty decent rating on the green player. And how is it looking for Blue? Is he actually doing well enough against his grey opponent? I kinda think he is. You can see a huge amount of skeletons here, and Grey dropped to just 30 villagers. Yeah, that's a pretty low number at this point, and it's basically just a race for time. If Red can delete the Green faster, then Blue can delete the Grey opponent. Blue is doing a pretty good job so far, but it seems like that he's also slightly developing to help his teammate. Oh well, that's a lot of really slaughter here. Oh well, that hurts, and it almost seems like that Hightower might have slightly given up in his mindset. That's not really ideal, what you want to see as a teammate, especially as Blue, because Blue is not really playing anything bad. He's right now being slightly raided, but not anything that he shouldn't be handling, and I've seen how he's actually boomed. I would be expecting him to put in up some kind of defense pretty soon. He is still having a pretty decent amount of archer ranges right now with the castle, so Blue archers could be trickling in pretty soon, but let's see if he can build enough of them with all those cavaliers running around and trying to disrupt the economy of all the opponents. Yep, right now he's finding the gold, but still there's going to be a lot of TC fire in here, and the green base is basically his at this point. There's absolutely no opposition to him, and it seems like that with those captains entering the base anytime soon, this is going to be it for the green player, but let's not call it just yet, because obviously there's still a bit of an army from green potentially for raiding, but looking how Grey is somehow able to defend, or able to hold on against this blue opponent who is not really killing him substantially. He's just basically killing villagers here as much as he can, which he's pretty successful at with 24 villagers. But looking at the minimap also, we see a lot of red dots all around the blue base, and he's just killing his economy as best as he can. Though it's going to take some time. Looking at 94 villagers, that's still quite a lot of quite a lot of villies to kill, and looking at all those town centers and the towers and the castle, he will be killing those raiding cavalry pretty soon, and basically unleashing his economy and his army pretty soon as well. So yep, this is yet another attempt at basically spamming as many archers as he can. Although I kinda think that he should be switching into some kind of barracks, because obviously crossbowmen are not exactly the right unit against cavaliers and potentially paladins. Yeah, we see paladins pretty soon, and Red is basically just right now calling it his own base in the green base. Yep, that's pretty much it, and those kept rams are right now finishing the job pretty nicely with all those right now upgraded into paladins. So yep, that's pretty much it, with green losing pretty much everything right now, dropping to just 33, and it is slightly developing into 1v1 between the blue player and the red player. Because it doesn't seem like that either Siegfried or Hightower will be supplying anything substantial in the next minutes. Still, I have to pretty much like the economy from the blue player, and I kinda thinking that he should be having pretty decent echo to defend potentially. And green, well, he's not giving up at all. He's trying to rebuild the town center here right now with a lot of villages, but looking how red is having quite a decent amount of paladins here, this is not going to be all that easy. Advancing to Imperial HVK, so that's yet another pretty good milestone for him, but he's also losing quite a decent amount of villagers in his economy, and right now dropping to just 88, so he has lost like 15 villagers in the raiding so far. So, looking at this base, it seems like also that 37 villagers are actually idle for Vikea. Well, that means that he's having basically just a half echo. And is he building some extra units? Well, he's right now finally switching into barracks, it seems, and into halberdiers quite potentially very soon. Woman saw pikeman, yep, he is slowly moving there. But is there going to be enough? Because Grey is slowly but surely gaining ground, and yeah, here we see the GGs. And LeOs are actually calling it the game because Hightower is unable to actually come back from this total destruction of his base, and it doesn't seem like that Blue would be good enough or rather confident enough to carry the game for both of the players just by himself. Alright then, GG. GG, so let's have a look at the achievements. Where Ayuzi was winning quite convincingly on absolutely everything, which is no wonder because he was, yeah, the best player of them all. It really seemed like that through the whole duration of the game, from the early very nice rush and up until the end game with a very strong push onto the green player there. Yeah, pretty nice echo overall, and even a bit of a sling here from Hightower into Vikea, and I think that was at the very end where he was just trying to push Vikea into Imperial Age and hoping that he could somehow turn the battle around. Fortunately, did not happen. Alright then, GG.